Natural gas leaks always have to be fixed, whether for safety, financial, or environmental reasons, but getting the job done takes coordination with cities and towns. The Metropolitan Area Planning Council recently came out with a report looking at obstacles and best practices. To tell us about the report is our guest from the council, the energy coordinator, Patrick Roche. Thank you very much for being with us, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, talk about how serious is this problem, at least in Massachusetts?
I'd say Massachusetts it's very serious. We have about 20,000 miles of natural gas pipe. About 5,000 of that is leak prone. It's old cast iron that's rusting, corroding, leaking at the joints, and it really needs to be replaced with new plastic pipe. And as you mentioned, the leaking gas is paid for by ratepayers. It has environmental risks associated with climate change, and it can damage vegetation. The gas companies do a very good job at managing the safety risks of this, but there are a lot of other impacts as well.
And of course, sometimes in the worst cases, not too frequently, but still very bad, a building blows up maybe.
Yes, it is possible. And so I think the good thing is that it is rare, and so this happens infrequently. The gas companies are on top of that. However, there are lots and lots of small non-hazardous leaks, and those are the ones that actually might be emitting a lot of gas, but they're not near an enclosed space, they're not near anyone's property. So not an explosion risk, but they are emitting lots of gas that could cause damage to trees and climate change.
Well, even if you live in a community where the local government has things well coordinated, you still can be affected by another community where they aren't well coordinated, because that's going to cost money, I imagine. So what's the big problem here, at least looking at the big picture?
Well, the big picture is that the gas companies own their natural gas pipes, and they have to dig through municipally owned streets to get there. And municipalities spend a lot of precious money each year to pave their roads, and it's usually a battle they're trying to keep up with their roads. They have a lot of miles of roads. And then the gas company has to come in and tear that up to access these pipes. Now, the gas company does put the road back. They patch over their trench. However, they've basically created new seams in the road where water, ice, frost can get in, damage that pavement, and it means that those streets are going to last many years less than they were intended to. And also you've got frustration, traffic backups. So we have some wasted municipal dollars, and it also, I think, as we found in our report, it's going to be challenging to meet the timeline that the gas companies have set when coordination doesn't work very well.
We're talking with Patrick Roche from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, because one of the other twists here is that in order to know where a leak is, sometimes you have to do some digging around too. So explain how that makes this more difficult.
Yeah, the gas companies do mobile surveys where they're sampling the air to find out where there are elevated levels of methane in the air. And then once they have those areas pinpointed, then they'll take samples, they'll core down into the dirt to look at elevated levels that are of gas in the ground. And then they'll have that pinpointed. They'll make an assessment of its risk, either a grade 1, 2, or 3, based on its proximity to buildings or people or confined spaces. And then if it's a grade 1, those are the worst, or grade 2, which has a potential to be explosive in the future. They'll fix those. The grade 1s get fixed immediately. The grade 2s get fixed within a year. The grade 3s, they are just put on a list and monitored. And those are the vast majority of leaks that we have currently.
Well, in the best possible scenario here, the gas companies and the local cities and towns would be on the same page as far as schedules for road projects. What about Boston?
So Boston is doing a great job. Boston has a lot of work going on in the city between not just the gas company, but also electric utilities, cable utilities. Boston's doing its own water and sewer work, so in addition to paving. And so Boston developed a piece of software called COBUX, or the City of Boston Utility Coordinating Software. And this has, in order to get a permit to do work, each utility has to enter their planned information into the system, and the system looks for conflicts with other planned work or with a road that the city has repaved recently and is essentially off limits. And so in this way, the city is able to ensure that roads that they're recently repaved aren't getting dug up, but that also that multiple utilities are able to get in and do their work around the same time, and then you pave over the street, so you get upgraded infrastructure and a nicely paved road.
Well, it's great that a city with the scale and resources of Boston can do this, but you've got some other types of communities, the situation is different. So what does that mean?
Yeah, it's a great question because a lot of our leak-prone pipe is not just in Boston. It's especially, most of it's in eastern Massachusetts. And a lot of these cities and towns have a lot less going on. So what we found is that really low-cost improvements in planning and communication can make such a big difference. So a lot of cities and towns have maybe a 1-year plan for their paving, and expanding that out to 3 years, even if some of these things are going to change, which we know they will based on budgets, but the gas companies now have 5-year plans, and their first 3 years of those plans are pretty well known. And so if the gas companies and municipalities can be comparing plans and looking not just one season out, but 2 or 3, then they can both make shifts in those schedules to help synchronize projects and again get the gas company in before the municipality wants to do its work.
Now, looking at I got the impression that not every utility handles this equally well. Plus, you have staff turnover problems, and cities and towns have staff turnovers too. It sounds like it can get pretty sloppy.
Yeah, I think so. And I think responsibilities are on both the municipalities and the gas companies. I think we've seen some great work out of Columbia Gas with their creation of a position. I believe it's their community liaison, who is sort of the one point person for the municipality to call. And they are responsible for essentially getting all the other folks at Columbia Gas who are necessary for that coordination discussion, the folks who are doing the engineering and planning, the construction managers, into the same room. And what they do actually is they have a pre-construction season meeting. So this happens sometime over the winter, where all the relevant folks from Columbia Gas get in the same room with the relevant folks from the municipality. And that includes the public works as well as any water and sewer folks. They bring together both of their plans. So they're both looking at plans, talking about how to make changes, and also setting up their plans for how they're going to communicate over the construction season, because things are definitely going to change throughout the construction season, and it's important to figure out how both parties will be kept up to date. So that's really good. And for their part, municipalities also need to make sure that not just the Department of Public Works is talking to the gas company, but that water and sewer are as well, so that all those things that are happening can be coordinated.
And Patrick, is there any other missing piece there to make this work better?
Yeah, I'd say there's a great incentive for municipalities not to do more coordination, not just in the sense that they're going to help protect their roads, but we've seen from both the City of Worcester and the City of Lawrence, working in City of Lawrence's case, working with Columbia Gas, cities can access some new revenue streams actually through coordination. What Columbia Gas did in the City of Lawrence is they figured out the amount of cost that they were saving when they got in before the city paved. And because they did that, the gas company got to avoid having to do the final paving costs themselves, because the city was coming through and paving the whole street. So you're able to calculate those savings and share half of that back with the city as essentially as a reward and an incentive to do continued coordination. And now Columbia Gas is rolling this out across more of their municipalities. So this synchronizing projects can generate new savings for the town that can result in dollars coming back that could help pave more roads or maybe upgrade additional infrastructure in town.
And of course, ordinarily, better synchronization means it would save money because you're not having a paving job ripped to pieces too. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's true. And the other thing to add is that in this sort of scenario, ratepayers are also benefiting, because by sharing the savings between partly with the municipality and partly with the gas company is still coming out ahead and can return those savings to ratepayers, or could use that to help replace more leak-prone pipe that year.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Great.
Patrick Roche from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council.